Welcome back, my dear students. Today we will explore the fascinating structure of the human eye and the physiology of vision. Step by step, we will see how different parts of the eye, like the cornea, lens, and retina, work together to focus light, and how rods and cone cells convert it into signals for the brain. By the end of this class, you will understand how this tiny organ gives us clarity, color, and the ability to perceive the world around us. Our eyes are the most powerful sense organ. They give us most of our information about the world and play a key role in safety, interaction, and education. About half of all the body's sensory receptors are located in the eyes, which shows how important vision is. A large portion of the brain's cerebral cortex is used just for processing visual information. Sight is essential for survival, that is, for detecting danger or finding food, for communication, for expressions, gestures, and reading, and for learning. Most knowledge comes through vision. So, the physiological anatomy of the eye, we know that 50% of all sensory receptors are found in the eyes. A large part of cerebral cortex is dedicated to vision, and it is essential for survival, communication, and learning. So what is the definition of electromagnetic radiation? Definition: energy in wave form radiating from the sun. Electromagnetic spectrum: gamma rays, X rays, or UV rays. Gamma ray, this is gamma ray, X ray, UV ray, and in between UV ray and infrared there are visible light wavelength, and after that infrared, then microwave, then radio waves. So what's the wavelength? Distance between two peaks of wave is the wavelength. In case of gamma ray, the wavelength is less than 1 nanometer, but in case of radio waves, the wavelength is greater than 1 meter. The wavelength of visible light is in between 400 to 700 nanometer. Violet light wavelength is 400 nanometer, and the wavelength of red light is 700 nanometer. So color perception depends on reflected wavelength. Color perception, it depends on reflected wavelength. We know green apple because it reflects green and absorbs the other colors. White object, it reflects all different wavelengths of light. Black object, it absorbs all wavelengths of light. When we see an object white, because it can reflect all various wavelengths of light, and the black object can absorb all wavelength of light, so no color will be reflected from that object, so it is black in color. This image shows two level diagram of the human eye. This is the first one is the external view of the eye, that is on the left side. The lacrimal gland is there, it produces tears, and there are ducts. This is duct, it carries the tears into the eye. There is conjunctiva. The conjunctiva is a thin protective membrane covering the white part of the eye. The white part of the eye is called as sclera. This is sclera. This is the tough white outer layer. Sclera is the tough white outer layer. This is the pupil. Pupil, central black opening that controls the entry of light. Iris, the colored part of the eye that adjusts pupil size. This is the iris. This is iris and this is pupil. This is the cross section of the eyeball. This is on the right side. Here the cornea, that is the transparent or front part of the front part that bends light, and just behind the cornea there is aqueous humor. This is aqueous humor. This is cornea. Just behind the cornea there is aqueous humor. It is clear fluid in the front of the optic chamber. It maintains pressure. Iris and pupil, it controls the amount of light entering. This is pupil and this is iris. Lens. Lens is just located behind the iris and pupil. Behind the there is it is the gap. another portion. Lens, it focuses light onto the retina. Suspensory ligament, suspensory ligament is the, this is the suspensory ligament. They hold the lens in proper place, and there are ciliary bodies which helps in lens adjustment and fluid secretion. Fluid means aqueous humor and vitreous humor. Vitreous humor is present just behind the lens. It's a thick gel filling the eyeball, giving it shape. Retina, this is the green colored portion, is the retina. It is the inner light sensitive layer where image forms. Choroid is the outer part of the retina. It's the vascular layer providing blood supply, and the sclera is the outermost layer, and it is the protective outer coat, tough protective outer coat. And there is optic nerve. This is optic nerve. It carries visual information or visual signal from the eye to the brain. There are eyelids and extraocular muscles which protect, and the muscle is responsible for movement of the eye. In simple words, we can say the left diagram shows the outside structure of the eye like pupil, iris, sclera, conjunctiva, lacrimal gland, duct, etc. While the right diagram shows a cut section of the eyeball with its inner part like lens, retina, aqueous humor, vitreous humor, and optic nerves. Now the accessory structures of the eye, the eyelids, which is also called as palpebrae, it protect and shade during sleep. It spread lubricants. Eyelashes and eyebrow, they trap dust, sweat and sunlight. Lacrimal apparatus, it secretes and drains tears like water, salts, mucus and lysozyme. The function of the lacrimal apparatus is the lubrication, cleaning, and it has antibacterial activity. Extrinsic eye muscles, there are 6 muscles per eye which control precise movement. It is controlled by cranial nerves 3, 4 and 6. This is coordinated by brainstem and cerebellum. The eyeball structure, there are layers of eyeball wall. The fibrous tunic layer includes cornea, which is a transparent layer. It refracts light, and there are sclera. There is sclera which is white and protective structure. It gives shape of the eye. It has there is vascular tunic or uvea. There is choroid for blood supply, melanin, ciliary body, aqueous humor secretion, lens accommodation, iris, and pupil regulation. Retina, there is pigmented layer. It absorbs stray light. There is neural layer. There are photoreceptors which secrete bipolar cells and ganglionic cells. Lens, it is transparent, avascular, and focuses light on the retina. There are interior cavities. Anterior cavity, it has aqueous humor which is responsible for nutrient supply and pressure maintenance. There is vitreous humor. The vitreous body, it's a jelly-like structure. It maintains shape and holds retina. This is a sagittal section or side view cut of the human eye and surrounding structures. The diagram shows both external protective parts and internal eye components. Protective structures include eyebrow, which prevent sweat and dust from entering the eye. Eyelids are the upper and lower. There is upper eyelid and lower eyelid, which is also called as palpebrae. It protects the eye from injury, spread tears, and control light entry. Eyelashes, it acts as sensor and prevent debris from entering. Conjunctiva, a thin transparent membrane. It is of 2 types. Palpebral conjunctiva, it lines the inside of the eyelid. Bulbar conjunctiva, it covers the white part of the eye or sclera. So we found that conjunctiva is 2 types: palpebral conjunctiva, which lines the inside of the eyelid, and bulbar conjunctiva, which covers the white part of the eye. There is meibomian gland. It secretes oil to lubricate the eye and prevent tear evaporation. Muscles are there controlling eye movement and eyelids movement. Orbicularis oculi muscle, it closes the eyelid. Levator palpebrae, that is superioris muscle, it lifts the upper eyelid. Superior rectus muscle and inferior rectus muscle, it moves the eyeball up and down. Inferior oblique muscle, it helps rotate the eye. Internal eye parts, cornea, it is clear curved layer that focuses incoming light. Pupil, opening in the iris that control light entry. Iris, colored part that adjusts pupil size. Lens, it is a transparent structure behind the pupil that focuses humor or fluid to maintain pressure. Optic nerve, it carries visual signal or information from the retina to the brain. In simple words, we can say that the picture shows how the eyes is protected on the outside by eyelids, eyelashes, lacrimal glands and muscles, while inside it has cornea, iris, pupil and lens for focusing light, and the optic nerve to send signals to the brain. Our eyes has two main types of light sensing cells like rod cells and cone cells. Rods are about 120 million. They help us in dim light or night vision. They provide black and white vision but not color. They're very sensitive to light, but give low sharpness or low acuity. They're found mainly in the periphery of the retina, but they are absent in the fovea, the central spot for sharp vision. It contains the pigment rhodopsin. The cone cells, there are about 6 million cone cells. They work best in bright light. They are responsible for color vision. There are three types of cone cells: red, green and blue. They provide sharp, detailed vision for high acuity. Highly contracted in the fovea centralis, their damage or loss can cause color blindness or even legal blindness. Photopigment cycle, how light is detected and reset. When light or photon hits cis-retinal changes to trans-retinal changes occur. It is called as isomerization. Trans-retinal separates from opsin. This is called bleaching. There is an enzyme, retinal isomerase, which can convert trans-retinal back to cis-retinal. Cis-retinal then recombines with opsin and restoring the pigment for the next light signal. Now we'll learn about the adaptation, light adaptations. Light adaptation, what happens? Well, when moving from dark to bright light, rods stop working and cones take over. Sensitivity drops within a few seconds. Dark adaptation, when moving from bright light to darkness, cones adjust in about 8 minutes while rods regenerate slowly, taking to 30 to 40 minutes to give night vision. This diagram shows the microscopic structure of the retina, which is the light sensitive layer at the back of the eye. It highlights how light enters the retina, how signals are processed and how impulses travel to the brain. Path of the light and nerve impulses. Light passes through the retina, yellow arrow, top to bottom. Nerve impulses travel in opposite direction, that is blue arrow, bottom to. This is the nerve impulses, direction of nerve impulses, and this is the direction of light path of light through the retina, and the direction of nerve impulses through the retina, they are opposite in direction. So layers of the retina, there are pigmental layers which absorbs stray light to improve visual clarity. Photoreceptors rods for dim light and night vision, black and white, and cones for bright light and color vision. Outer synaptic layer is there, which maintains the connection between the photoreceptor and the bipolar cells. Bipolar cell layer, they transmit signals from the photoreceptor to ganglion cells. Inner synaptic layer, it includes horizontal and amacrine cells that refine and integrate visual signal. Ganglionic cell layer, actions of ganglion cells from the optic nerve, the second cranial nerve. There are some supporting cells like horizontal cells. They help integrate signals between rod and cone cells. Amacrine cells, they process signals before reaching ganglionic cells. Blood supply. The retinal blood vessels nourish the retina. Signal transmission, nerve impulses are collected by the ganglionic cell axons from the optic nerve. It carries signals to the brain for image formation. In simple words, the diagram explains how light enters the eye. It stimulates rod and cones, passes signals through bipolar, horizontal and amacrine cells, and finally reaches ganglion cells, whose axons bundle together to form the optic nerve. This is how we see. This image is a diagram of the human eye and the retinal layers. This is the right side. This is the eye structure, shows a cross section of the eyeball. The major parts labeled cornea, that is the front transparent layer. This is cornea. This is conjunctiva. This is conjunctiva. It is a covering membrane. Extraocular muscle, for this is extraocular muscle for eye movement. There is sclera. This is the white region is the sclera, white protective coat. Choroid is the vascular layer. This is the red colored layer is the choroid, and the green region is the retina, which is the light sensitive layer. There is just beneath the retina there is optic nerve. It carries signals from the eye to the brain. There is macula, the region with high cone density for sharp vision. There is lens for focusing. Left side retina, this is the left side, these are retinal cell layers, shows how light is processed and goes through the retina. Cells labeled photoreceptors, rods and cones at the bottom. It detect light. Horizontal cells, it connect photoreceptors. Bipolar cells relay signals upward. Amacrine cells modulate signal. Ganglion cells send final signal through their nerve fiber, which form the optic nerve. Retinal pigment epithelium and choroid are shown beneath the photoreceptors. There are keynotes in the diagram. Rods provide scotic vision, low light but black and white, low sharpness. Cones provide photopic vision or daylight color and high sharpness. In simple words, the image explains both the layers of the retina. Low light signals pass from the rods and cones to optic nerve, and the cross section of the eye showing main parts like cornea, lens, retina and optic nerve. It also highlights the difference between rods, night and black and white, and cones, day, for color light. Visual pathway. When light enters the eye, it is first detected by the photoreceptors, that is rod or cone cells in the retina. These cells pass the signal to the bipolar cells. We have already mentioned in the previous diagram, which then connect to the ganglionic cells. The long fibers of the ganglion cells then come together to form the optic nerve or cranial nerve 2 at a special junction called the optic chiasma. The fibers from the nasal or inner half of each retina cross over to the opposite side, while the fibers from the temporal or outer half stay on the same side. From here, the fibers continue as the optic tract and reach the lateral geniculate nucleus of the thalamus, which acts like a relay station. From the lateral geniculate nucleus, the signals travel through the optic radiations to the primary visual cortex in the optical lobe, that is the area 17 of the brain where vision is finally processed. Some fibers also branch off along the way to the midbrain for controlling pupil reflexes like constriction in bright light, to the hypothalamus for regulating day-night cycles or circadian rhythm. Because of the crossing at the optic chiasma, the right visual field is processed in the right visual cortex. Now we learn about the visual reflexes. First one is the pupillary light reflex. When bright light enters the eye, the pupil becomes smaller and the pupil constricted, and this is controlled by the parasympathetic nerves, which act on the sphincter pupil muscle. In dim light, the pupil becomes wider or dilated. This is controlled by the sympathetic nerve, which act on the dilator pupil muscle. Its purpose is to protect the retina from too much light and helps vision adjust to different lighting conditions. Accommodation reflex. It occurs when we look at a nearby object. The ciliary muscle contracts, making the lens more convex or curved. This increases the bending of light rays or refraction so that the image focuses clearly on the retina. At the same time, when the pupil constricts, it improves sharpness. The eyes converge or move inward to focus both eyes on the same near objects. Its purpose is help us see how close objects clearly, like when reading or using a phone. This is converge reflex. So in simple words, pupillary reflex adjusts pupil size to the light ray, accommodation reflex changes the lens for near vision, and convergence reflex moves both eyes inward for single clear 3D vision. Defects of image formation. Emenotropia, it is normal vision, where for normal refraction clear images are formed at the retina. Myopia or nearsightedness, when the eyeball too long or lens are too thick, focus in front of the retina, distant objects blurred. And correction, concave lens. Hyperopia or farsightedness, when the eyeball is too short or lens become too thin, so focuses are positioned behind the retina, so near objects are blurred, and it is corrected by convex lens. Astigmatism, irregular curvature of cornea or lens, it becomes blurred or distorted vision, and correction occurs by means of cylindrical lenses. This is normal plane of focus, this is concave lens, and it is nearsightedness or myopic. So in today's class we explored the eye, a beautifully designed optical instrument of our body, from the cornea and lens focusing light to the retina with rods and cones capturing images, and finally the optic nerve carrying signals to the brain. Every part works in harmony to create vision. We also learned how light is converted into nerve impulses, how rods help us see in the dark and cones give us sharp vision in bright light. Adaptations like light and dark adjustment ensure our eyes can function in all environments. So remember, every smile you see, word you read, and every movement you observe is possible because of this marvelous system. The eye is not just an organ of sight, but a window to learning, communication, and survival. Keep observing the world with curiosity because your eyes are the gateway to knowledge. Thank you.